Nobody talks about the courage that it takes to just kind of show up and keep showing up. I'm not talking about dramatic courage. I'm not talking about, running into burning buildings or anything like that. Just a daily, quiet courage. Just doing the hard things over and over and over again. That's real. And God has something specific to say about that. There's this like, sometimes it's just hard, and I know, I've had times like that. I know we've all had times like that where just the thought of the day ahead is just, the uncertainty of it, it can be a little overbearing, and you just end up getting up and you're just going through the motions quietly, the day-to-day responsibilities, they don't let up. Maybe you have, some past losses that just haven't fully healed, something unknown you haven't been able to resolve. Most of us are just going to kind of push through that quietly. Maybe even feeling a bit of shame about it, that you're not handling it better. I know with me, the way it kind of worked for me, it was like I would, everything, my pride would show its way through, right? I wouldn't ask for the help. And then I'd end up just kind of moving forward and being like, I really should be able to do this, but I'm not, and I'm having a difficult time. And that's kind of where you kind of feel ashamed of that. It's, again, I think it's something that happens. It's common, but it's not really the truth. This is week 5, and the theme for this week is courage when the path feels heavy, right? Like we just were talking about. A lot of us are kind of walking that heavy path. And, the scripture readings that we're going to talk about this week all have that singular theme about courage. And we're not talking about courage as a personality trait. We're not talking about like, oh, she's a courageous person, or, something like that. We're talking about it as a command, right? Through a lot of these scriptures we're going to read this week, God he's given us the command of courage, right? And he's commanding us to have courage because guess what? He's the one that's actually giving us the courage. So it's not, a command to be like, hey, Steve, you need to have more courage. It's like, no, be courageous because I am with you. Be courageous because I am walking this walk with you. It's not you should be courageous because that's how you're supposed to be. No, it's you can have courage because I'm there with you. We touched on it a little bit in the opening too, is that courage isn't just this one heroic act. Yes, those acts are courageous. I'm not saying that they're not. The police officer who's rushing in and saving a life, the firefighter who's running into that fire and saving somebody. These are courageous acts. I'm not at any stretch of the imagination kind of taking away from those feats of courage. But I do think we need to realize that in each one of those situations that I'm describing, that courage in reality is not attained by themselves. That is a gift of God, to give them that courage to do that. But for us, we're really talking about the courage to kind of do what we need to do on a daily basis. When it's going to be hard, when we know there's going to be some sort of anxiety and maybe we just don't know what's going to be coming ahead and what that next turn is going to produce, right? Just to have that courage, just be like, okay, I got this, and not because I got this because, I have this inner courage by myself. No, I got this because God tells me I have courage and he's giving it to me. So this week we're going to touch on the 3 scriptures we're going to touch on this week. We're going to start with our Monday reading. It's going to be a reading from Deuteronomy. And that's when, Moses is kind of, he knows he's not going to be going into the promised land. He knows he's not crossing. And he's handing over the reins to Joshua. And he's kind of encouraging him. And then Wednesday, we're going to go into Isaiah, chapter 35 of Isaiah, when, God's going to be, he's just going to be very direct in that reading. Looking forward to that one. And we're going to close on our week on Friday with the reading from Paul's letter to the Corinthians, where he's, again, very straightforward about stand firm, be courageous, be strong. because God's with you, right? Common theme there, right? We don't have this courage by ourselves. We have it because God gives it to us. And so also this week we have our daily practice. It's a 2-part daily practice this week. And so kind of what we're going to want to do is, as we're starting our day, kind of before you open your phone, before you do whatever it is, before you watch this YouTube video, right? Or before you listen to this podcast, what I want you to do is I just want you to kind of just a quick prayer to the Lord. Just, Lord, you know what's ahead today. Give me the courage for what I cannot see. Just a nice, add that to your morning prayers. If you're someone who actually, who's doing the morning prayers, just kind of put it in there. And look, ask the Lord for his help for the day to kind of help you with the unknown. And then at the end of the day, as you're getting ready and getting ready for to close out your day, just ask the Lord, right, in your prayers, Lord, where were you with me today? Ask him, and he's going to reveal it. He's going to reveal those moments of your day where he was with you, where he was helping you through that particular situation, where perhaps he was even opening your eyes to a situation that you just didn't even know was coming. So as we close out, what I'm going to do again, as I ask, and I am encouraging you guys to just drop some things in the comments, drop some areas maybe where where you're feeling less courageous, or maybe or some words of encouragement, for somebody else who's out here listening to this, an area where maybe you're saying, hey, I used to feel this way. I used to struggle with kind of the shame of not being able to be brave in a situation. But through prayer and through conversation and through building my relationship with the Lord, I've gotten better at that. I've recognized these areas where he wants me to be bold, where he wants me to be a little more courageous. And put it in the comments. I think it's a great opportunity here to encourage each other, and also to be a little bit of vulnerability. We don't have to get into super duper details, but if you're comfortable sharing, drop it in the comments. I do think it's great for others to really see what other people are going through and how people have dealt with certain situations. Just building this great community here. So I thank you very much. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this today. I look forward to talking to you on Monday, and God bless.